Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. It is Monday, June 22nd. A lot going on. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. Obviously, to all whom it applies. It was a great weekend here. We're going to talk about it in just a minute. Got our coaching deal still going on through the end of June. If you sign up for coaching... from now to the end of June, you get 1 month free with a 3-month commitment. So I think it's just the perfect kind of time, especially if you don't have an event or if your event's been canceled this year and you've been struggling trying to set a plan and trying to stick with it. Coaching could be the thing for you. It could be, there's lots of reasons to get a coach. Maybe you've always thought about getting a coach, but it is a luxury sometimes, and people have to wonder and try to budget it. So this is the perfect chance. With a 3-month commitment, you get 1 month free. Try it out. See if you like it. Give me a call if you want a free consultation. Consultation is always free. We've done a number of consultations the last few days. I got to tell you, I love talking to you guys. I love hearing your goals. I love hearing what you're all about, what you guys are up to. And it's just, it's a productive conversation. Even if you might not even think that you want to coach, but you want to hear more about it. If that's the case, reach out to me. We'll get the conversation going. I love talking to you guys about your goals and how you're going to go about achieving them. Ordinary Marathon is open for registration. Registration is only $10. A great deal for next year's race. Starts at $10. You can add a medal. You can add your race shirt to it as well. We're going to have our first giveaway coming soon. As soon as I get sort of pictures of these things, I'm going to throw them up there. June Walker is making 2 of those tumbler glasses. I should have had mine here. Mine's in my car. I use it every single day. I'm using it for water now. I was using it for coffee. Now I'm using it for water. And it's just awesome. It's really cool. I know you just said, what do you mean cool? It's a really cool glass. It's a really cool thing. So we're going to have her do some Ordinary Marathoner designs and stuff like that. We'll be giving away those two items in the next month. So get over there, ordinarymarathon.com, get registered for the race. It starts at $10. I mean, you can't beat that. Speaking of June Walker, she's doing our Couch to 5K program. We may add that. I may be talking to her today. If I do it in time, I'll add it to the end of this podcast. She is working hard. She's got her first week complete. I believe she checked all the boxes. Very proud of her for doing that. And we're going to have her on and try to talk about the program. Good to get through that first week. You get that first week, you get that discipline, you set that in, and then you move on to week number 2. We'll see how she's doing. Hopefully we'll kind of add that to the end of this podcast, but not sure if we're going to be able to do that or not. Speaking of guests on the podcast, Robert Hardy was awesome last week. If you guys heard the Robert Hardy interview, he is a 69-year-old marathoner. He runs marathons with a walker. And not only does he do that, but he does it fast, like under 5.5 hours. His goal is to qualify for Boston. I mean, that's a tough one, but he's going to do it, eating ham and cheese sandwiches on the way. We'll see. We'll follow him. I wouldn't bet against him. I definitely wouldn't bet against him. The guy is, he trains hard. He works hard. He's just focused. But what a great podcast! A great conversationalist too. We had a great time. You should take a listen if you have a chance. If you haven't already, Stephanie Luaris was on our last coaches panel. She was awesome too. Motivational speaker. We may have her on the podcast this week. I just got to try to schedule it. We'll get on that. Hopefully get her on sooner than later. Speaking of the coaches panel, this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, we have Ramon Burmo coming on with us. Now this is, I think, coaches panel 5. And it keeps getting better and better. And Ramon is like a really great guest for it. It was perfect thing. He's been on the podcast maybe 3 or 4 times in the past. It really was my first coach ever, coaching me to the American Cancer Society, to the New York City Marathon. It was my first ever marathon. I'm not forgetting you, Ed, too. Ed was sort of my direct coach, and Ramon was the coach's coach. Ramon has literally coached thousands of athletes to the finish line of marathons. So really kind of perfect. Himself, he's done ultra marathons, like 250-mile races, just incredible things. And he wants to talk. He said he wants to kind of focus on the fundamentals of training, which I think is perfect for our group. Really, anyone from beginner to seasoned vet can ask questions and get a lot of information from this guy. He's one of the best out there. So check it out. We're going to put the Zoom link on our Facebook group. So if you haven't had that, or if you're not part of the Facebook group, head on over there. I can't just blast out the Zoom Facebook. I've just heard too many stories. I can't blast out the Zoom link. But it will be out there. We'll also send it on our email. Our mailing list. So if you're not part of the mailing list, ordinarymarathoner.com, right-hand column. If you're on your PC, if you're on your phone, you got to kind of scroll down all the way to the bottom. You'll see it just says name and an email address. You just click that. You automatically going to add it onto our mailing list, so you won't miss that Zoom link, and we can see you on Friday night for our happy hour and coaches panel, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time with Ramon Burmo. That's going to be a good one, guys. You don't want to miss it. So back to Father's Day. I do want to talk about Father's Day because, Stephanie said to me earlier in the week, she said, hey, what would your perfect Father's Day be? And I kind of was like, sleep till 9 o'clock, which we can't really do because Ellie wakes up at 7:30. Sleep till 9 o'clock. And then, maybe all of us go for a bike ride together. That would be really nice, a family bike ride. Have some lunch, go to dinner later together, maybe watch a movie or something like that. I don't know. Something just kind of chill. I just really want to relax. I want to just enjoy the day. That was who knew that would actually come to fruition, but it did. The baby slept till 8:30, which she never does. She's 18 months old. She slept until 8:30. Steph went and got her, brought her into the bedroom. We kind of just vegged out until 9 o'clock, got up. Stephanie made breakfast for me. She made some kind of like quinoa yogurt fruit contraption that, when she makes breakfast, you got to watch out. I almost just wanted I needed bacon, right? It's Father's Day. Isn't it a law that I have to have bacon? But it actually came out pretty good. I hate to say it came out pretty good, and I enjoyed my breakfast. We kind of hung out, and it was getting really hot. It was just, we've been through this heat wave. It's oppressively hot and humid. It was 90 degrees outside. I was trying to set up for our bike ride. Now, we have that little trailer carrier, and we've never used it before. So you sit the baby in the trailer, you pull the trailer behind the bicycle. Never used it before. I just, I wanted to, it was going to take me some time to figure out how to kind of set it up and get used to the safety features in my brain. And I think probably as parents, a lot of you guys have done this. You always envision like the worst things happening to your children. Right? You just, whether you're preparing yourself for it in case it happens, or I don't know what that is. Like I told my daughter Sam yesterday, I said, when you have kids, I've seen you fall down the stairs probably 2,000 times. You've never fallen down the stairs. But in my brain, it's happened, thousands of times because I get so concerned and worried for my kids. And so in my mind, when I'm picturing riding the bicycle and just going down the trail this way and then looking this way and seeing like the trailer came unhitched and my daughter is going down that way through the woods on the trail, God knows into what stream, brook, or whatever, tree, I don't know. But you always envision like the worst thing, like I'm riding there and then there, anyway. So I just wanted to make sure that I was like kind of used to all the safety features and that I was comfortable going out and knowing that this thing wasn't going to injure my daughter. And I, spent some time with it and I felt pretty comfortable about that. It felt pretty good. Pumped the air in the tires, put all the bikes and the trailer into the car, onto the bike rack. I was sweating like a pig. I got to tell you, it was so hot. And it was to the point where I looked at Steph. I said, is this even smart? It's really bad out. Like it's really hot and oppressively hot. And I said, you know what though? This is what I wanted to do. Let's just go do it. And we did. And we went out and we went to this spot on the trail. So it's like a half an hour drive to the trail. We went to the spot on the trail. It's near this little kind of like country store that we like to go to. And we were going to go there for lunch. But first things first, we're going to do the bike ride. And we started going down the trail kind of towards the shady end intentionally. And, we probably went about 2 miles, but we had a blast. It was really good. And, going down 2 miles, coming back 2 miles. So 4 miles total. It probably took us 15, 20 minutes. So not really like a long ride, but something for us to get out and kind of just feel comfortable with the trailer setup so we could do it again at a later time. And, honestly, I don't know that Steph and Sam are really going to ride much further than that at this point in time. I mean, it's not like I'm going to drag them on a 50-mile bike ride. That's just not going to happen. But, this trail is really scenic and gorgeous, and there's really good spots, and I hope that next time we can kind of go a little bit further. But this was absolutely perfect for the day and what we wanted to do. Came back, put the bikes back in the car. Probably took me more time to set up the bikes and then put them back than we actually spent riding. But anyway, it was still fun. It was good. It was good to get my daughter in the trailer. It was good to see Sam riding her bike down the trail. She's getting so big. It's crazy. She just graduated from 5th grade. Very proud of her. She's great. And then it was time to go to lunch. We went to the country store. And I've been talking to him a little bit about good mojo, bad mojo. I'm still kind of on this superstition fence here with where things are going. We had to call a plumber into the house this week. They're coming tomorrow because we have a leak in the ceiling. We never got our umbrella hasn't been fixed out back. It's been so sunny and ridiculously hot out there. In order to sit on the back porch, we need the umbrella, and we haven't heard back. It's just been crazy. Just bad little things, guys. It's not detrimental things. Just little things that are piling up that are just annoying. And I'm always looking to see what's the switch that's going to turn our luck the good way to a better path. And again, I know a lot of you guys don't believe in this stuff, but I played baseball and that's just what we did. So we get to the country store and it closes at 1:00. Like on a Sunday afternoon, you'd think the place would be open through a regular kind of lunch into maybe early evening hours. But it closed at 1:00. Now, if we were in bad mojo phase, I would have looked at my watch and it certainly would have said 1:05, and we would have went in there and they would have said, sorry, we've put everything away and we're closed. Thanks, but no thanks. But yesterday, the perfect Father's Day, I looked down, it was 12:55. 12:55. Perfect time. We went in there. The people were still so nice, even though we kind of hit them with their last order of the day right before they were about to leave. The people there were so nice. They made us sandwiches. We sat out on the back and ate our sandwiches, had our lunch. Perfect day. Went home. Ellie napped, and we're kind of just hanging out, waiting for dinner. Now, on my training schedule, the bike ride was not training. Although maybe you can theoretically count this as a brick because I was supposed to run 7 miles yesterday. And I'm looking at the clock and the baby was asleep and we're kind of sitting there watching TV and I really don't want to run. I definitely am not running 7 miles outside in the 90-degree super humid weather. That's not going to happen. I haven't run 7 miles, by the way, since October. So it's been a long time for running that distance. And, one of those things as a parent, if you guys are parents out there, or even any athlete, if you have a job, you probably come up with the same circumstance. You have something that you need to do. I wanted to sleep late, so I did. It was my Father's Day. I slept late. And now I had my only window. I had a small window of opportunity because if I go to dinner, we were going to dinner out and I knew that I was going to go to dinner and I just was going to want it's 90 degrees. I wanted a cold beer. I was going to have a cold beer. Once I have that first cold beer, the chances of me running 7 miles after I get home are very little. It's just not going to happen. So, and I know this about myself. So I have a very small window. And you guys know, you got to take advantage of these little tiny windows when you can, right? You got if you have that moment, sometimes as a parent, as someone who works a job that maybe the hours are a little weird or unpredictable, you got to take those chances when you can. So I went upstairs, got the running shoes on, and started running. And I did. I got all 7 miles in. Very proud of that because I'm telling you, my training's been going. It's been on point for the last 3 weeks, ever since I started sort of my official marathon training regimen. Doing a lot of work on the bike. I've done a lot of work there, and I'm adding my runs in. I did hills last week. I did speed ladders, which I think we talked about in a prior podcast. So I did 2 really good workouts, and then I increased my overall mileage from 6 to 7. Which, when you're doing your long runs, and you're in that marathon training mode, that's kind of like your thermometer, right? That's your gauge. What's my longest long run so far this cycle? So I got up to 7 miles. I feel good. I feel like the training is working and it's getting me up there. I did it. So last week I did 6 miles. My first week I did 5 miles at a 10:25 pace. Then I did 6 miles at a 10:16 pace. So 9 seconds faster, even though I did 1 more mile. And then this week I did 7 miles at 10:15. So a second faster on the pace, which I think is awesome. And it's one of those things where you get on the treadmill, and I don't necessarily say, all right, I got to do 10:15 and go after that. I in my brain, I wanted to beat last week's time. I didn't even really know what it was. But when you're kind of looking at miles per hour, right? And I'm running at 5.8 miles per hour. And you're trying to kind of do the math and judge it that way. It's not as easy as it would seem. To calculate and figure out exactly what your speed's going to be, especially since I change the speed as I run. If I feel like I still have more energy as I get closer to the finish, I may jack it up a little bit. In this case, I didn't feel great that last mile. I felt okay. I felt like, yeah, I could do it. I did press the pace a little bit, but it definitely wasn't like I was really racing that last mile. I did survive it. I felt good surviving it. I didn't have to pull back on the pace, which is always good. So all in all, a great run. Got that in. Went out to dinner. Should I do my little COVID thing? Let me do my little COVID thing. Massachusetts now restaurants are open, but only outdoor seating. And it's frustrating because it's like you're not getting the best of the restaurants sometimes. But in this case, there's 2 restaurants in this plaza. And so what they've done, they have a little bit of outdoor seating, but not enough to accommodate a lot of people. So they've put up these 2 outdoor tents. And these tents, they're walled off on 2 sides. In essence, what they've done, and I know, please, I very much doubt there's science on this. I very much doubt that someone did a ventilation study on how many walls you need on a tent outdoors to make it an outdoor tent. It's so ridiculous, the things that we think of for regulation and what's considered outdoor. And then basically what they did was they created an indoor space outdoors by erecting a tent. And now people can sit in there. There's no fans. There's no AC. Jesus, it was hot as hell. We got there. There was nobody there. And I'm like, maybe we just get takeout. And then we said, let's just sit down and just sit. It's like one of those things where you're sitting down like this and you don't want to move because you're sweating and it's just gross. You're sweating by not moving at all. The cold beer was amazing, by the way. So cold. It was really good. It was just, when the beer gets there and it's frozen a little on the glass and you're just oh, it was just perfect. But we wound up sitting down, having a nice dinner. Really, if you sat, the tent was walled off on 2 sides. So I guess that creates adequate ventilation so that you're not subjecting yourself to the COVID virus. Maybe. Science. In reality, I think we're a bunch of idiots. I think we look like total fools. Really, it just, when you think about what we've done to business here too now, all that indoor space not being used, that, by the way, is air conditioned and cool. Meanwhile, I'm suffering outside in humid, hot temperatures. What's more dangerous at this point, really? What's more dangerous to me and my kids' health? 99.7% of people who will get this will recover without any major symptoms or any major problems, especially if you're younger. What's the danger for my kids? What's more of a danger for me and my kids? To be outdoors in 90-degree, humid, super hot weather and not even be able to move, or to be inside in air conditioning. Or maybe it's there's a little more, virus going around. I don't know. Science. It just seems really stupid to me. It just seems really, really dumb. One of the things I am absolutely thrilled about is Ironman Lake Placid has rescheduled their race from late July to August 30th. Now, we talked about Boston being canceled. Boston was scheduled for September, I believe, 19th. So, and when they canceled, they made some comments I don't know how you could schedule any kind of race or event like this for the rest of the year. Ironman goes and they basically give Boston the finger and say, hey, we're going to do it August 30th. We're doing it. So I'm glad that they're doing it. I really hope they go through it. Obviously, there's still a chance that they may cancel and postpone that. Although I don't know. I feel like they've already kind of screwed a bit. Well, not screwed, but they've already kind of, the businesses up there and in that town have already felt the effect of 1 cancellation. The effect of 2 is that's really, it just seems unfair to have to do that to to have them spend all this energy setting up for an event on August 30th. If they then cancel it, I think that would be Just a horrible decision. A horrible decision to kind of, and especially you'd really be screwing over your athletes too. People who've been training 15 to 20 hours a week for months. Now they're getting their race that they want, and they're like, okay, continue to train 15 to 20 hours a month for that, or a week for that extra month. Put in all this work. You can't pull the rug out from under them again like that. You just can't. They might, but I'm really excited about it. I know that obviously they'll be taking some extra steps. I don't know exactly how. I know I've heard some rumors. I think Nick Doe sent me an article about that, about how they're going to be like spacing out the bikes a little more and doing, whatever they're doing. They're just, I just, whatever, it is what it is. The athletes already, you got no drafting in those races, so it's not like you have a big peloton of bikes. Yes, there are people in the beginning of the swim that are on top of one another. Yes, there are people in the run. It's going to get, the spectators, all that stuff. It gets a little crazy out there. I'm glad they're going out and they're going, it's got to be risky. It does have to be risky. And it makes me wonder sometimes, here's companies like Ironman. I mean, these races are detrimental to their business model. If you don't have them, you don't have any money. What happens if Ironman goes under? You think about that. I mean, from a selfish perspective, if Ironman goes over, what happens to my tattoo? I mean, what happens to my tattoo if Ironman goes away? My tattoo becomes completely irrelevant. That makes me upset. That makes me upset. Anyway, all right, let's call it a day. Again, I may add the June Walker interview after this. I hope I get to talk to her today. If not, remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. I hope you guys had a great Father's Day. Enjoy your week. Get on that training and have a good one, guys.